Hello, dear students. Have you missed me? I already miss you. Okay, guys. In this video, we're going to take about compare and contrast. So you're going to be able at the end of this video to differentiate between comparing and contrasting using compare and contrast in your writing also, and you can fill in a Venn diagram based on a given paragraph. Okay, first let's start with the compare. What is the compare? It shows what is the same about two or more things. So when I say compare, I mean same. So I mean similarities. Okay, let's take this example. Oh, I like oranges and bananas, don't you? Let's see what are the similarities between oranges and bananas, for example. We can eat both of them. This is the first similarity. They are both fruits. Also, this is another similarity. You have to peel both of them for sure. You cannot eat them without peeling them at first. So all of these ideas are similarities, are the same. You can find them in both fruits here, let's say, in these two objects. Okay, so here we made a compare. We stated the similarities between oranges and bananas. Okay, contrast. What do I mean by contrast? Shows what is different about two or more things. So the contrast is the opposite of compare. Compare is similarities, showing similarities. Contrast is showing differences between two or more things. Also, let's take an example. The same example. Oranges and bananas also. They make me feel hungry. Okay, oranges. Oranges are orange. You see, their color is orange. But what about the bananas? They are yellow. Okay, oranges are round, the shape, but the bananas are long. Also, oranges have seeds. When you eat them, you have to throw out the seeds. But bananas, they don't have seeds. We do not throw out the seeds. So here we stated the differences. We made a contrast. How can I organize my similarities and differences? If you look at the picture, you would say that we have two circles intersecting. But what about these two circles, or what do we call this shape? We call it the Venn diagram. Okay, the Venn diagram, we especially use it for comparing and contrasting. Why? Because if you notice in the middle, we have a common part, and on both sides we have separated parts. So it's obvious. In the middle, we have to state the similarities. This is where we're comparing. But on the sides, we have to state the differences because we're contrasting. You know and love them together. It's a great way to organize your thoughts when you are comparing and contrasting two things. So the Venn diagram is very important when we want to organize our ideas, when we are comparing and contrasting two or more things. Also in the middle, you put how the two objects are alike, the similarities. On the sides, you put the objects, how are the objects different. Okay, so state the differences on the sides and the similarities in the middle. For example, this is the Venn diagram for the both oranges and bananas. If you notice in the middle, we mentioned the similarities, but notice that the similarities here are mentioned, or the information is mentioned as phrases. Okay, fruit, yeah, we mean both are fruits, can eat them, have to peel it, for example, both. But what about the oranges here? Have seeds, its color is orange and it's round. The banana, okay, yellow, it's long and doesn't have seeds. Simply, and it's very easy to organize your information in the Venn diagram. How do I differentiate between similarities and differences in a text? This is a very important question. What should I do? Read the text well so you can compare ideas, events, characters, and other details. We have to read carefully. This is step 1. Step 2, use a Venn diagram to organize similarities and differences in the passage. So you go and draw the Venn diagram. Third step, look for clue words. What are these clue words? Let's have this tip. To compare, there are certain words I use them. Compare words. I use like, same, both the same as, similar, in the same way, most important, similarity, similarly as, to, have in common, as well as. Contrast. In order to make contrast, there are certain contrast words I have to use them, like although, whereas, however, while, differ, unless, unlike, contrary to, even though, yet, on the other hand, but, the reverse, instead, on the contrary. So these words show that I'm talking about the differences between two or more objects. Please guys, you have to keep in mind these words because it will be much easier for you in order to distinguish between the compare and contrast while reading a certain paragraph, or even while writing. If you want, for example, to compare two things to each other, you can use one of these words, so it will become a very good sentence. Or even if when you're contrasting two things to each other, two things or more, you have to use one of these words also. It will be better for you. Let's make a quick revision. Compare means similarities, contrast means differences, and to organize your ideas you have to use a Venn diagram. Now let's move to our comprehension skill worksheet 1 in semester 3. You can find this worksheet attached to the drive in the worksheet file for semester 3 in English for sure. Also, you can find a related solution for it in the worksheet solution file. But please, you have to promise to try solving the worksheet at the beginning by yourselves. Then you go to check your answers in the solution file. Compare to find ways in which two or more things are similar. Contrast to find ways in which two or more things are different. Also, we repeat guidelines to compare and contrast. They are the same as we mentioned previously in the video. Read the text carefully first. Use a Venn diagram to organize your ideas. You have to look for clue words in order to know if this sentence shows similarity or it shows a difference. When stating the similarities, use words like both, in common, compared to. While you're mentioning differences, you have to use words like while, on the contrary, opposite to. Let's take these examples. Both are friends and going to dance. So here there is a similarity. Tanya is wearing white, feels out of place and dislike Marisol, while Demetriana is wearing black, dressed like Marisol and like her. Okay, here if you notice that we're giving differences between Tanya and Demetriana, and here we use the word while. Exercise A. Compare and contrast the following items. List one way they are similar, then list one way they are different. For example, a desktop and a laptop. Imagine there is a desktop and there is a laptop in front of you. Mention one similarity between them. What can you do, for example, or the shape? Then you have to mention one difference between them. Simply, you can say that a desktop is not portable. You cannot hold it in your hand, but the laptop is portable and it's easy to carry. Similarities, they both can, for example, access Microsoft Word. Okay. And two, you have to compare and contrast between a car and a bicycle. I think it's very easy for you to do it by yourself. Let's move to. Okay. The last exercise in the worksheet. Read the following paragraph, then fill the Venn diagram with the similarities and differences between Mars and Earth. Okay, Mars is only about one half the diameter of Earth, but both planets have roughly the same amount of dry land surface area. This is because over 2/3 of the Earth's surface is covered by oceans, whereas the present surface of Mars has no liquid water. Mars and Earth are very different planets when it comes to temperature, size, and atmosphere, but geologic processes on the two planets are surprisingly similar. On Mars, we see volcanoes, canyons, and impact basins much like the ones we see on Earth. Okay, let's take only the first sentence as an example for you, so you do the rest. Mars is only about 1/2 the diameter of Earth. So here I can directly figure out that there is something different between Mars and Earth, which is the size. The size is different. Mars is half the size of Earth. Earth is twice the size of Mars, since I have 1/2 here. But both planets have roughly the same amount of dry. You see this word both, it shows similarity. Okay, so I have to mention here in the similarities that they both have roughly the same amount of dry land, so same amount of dry land surface. Simply, this is the similarity. And the difference, the first difference was the size between Mars and Earth. Okay, guys, I'm going to keep the rest for you to try solving them by yourselves. Please, you have to promise me to revise the worksheet first. You solve the exercises. Also, you can go back to the lecture, to this lecture. It's you can find it on the lecture file in semester 3, also on the drive. Okay, take care, stay safe, and study well.